Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. It is your favorite dark sorcerer here. And today I want to kind of talk to you about haters gonna hate. So be yourself. You like what you like. People are not always going to agree with what you like or your choices that you make. Okay? For an example, many people have had an issue with EA Weddings, organization Bulk. Okay? Especially since that individual, you know, who killed a couple of people in England, you know, they found, you know, links to Bog and to, other occult organizations, and they automatically think, oh, they're evil. And the next thing you know, you've got a lot of people going, well, these groups should be banned from social media. Okay. So these people are what normal religionists would call fearmongers. It's really well documented in the Bible too. So those who are petrified of change, those who are petrified of somebody else's belief structure, they're going to fear you. They're called fearmongers. They're going to try to make false accusations. They're going to do whatever is needed to get that story across. Hey, Kelly Jocelyn, what's going on, my friend? So, one of the things I've noticed throughout social media is you get a lot of people that have no stake in what other people are saying or doing coming into your life, into your world, and they're saying, oh, this person's doing this, this person's saying that. But what do they have to gain by it? Is it that friendly, heads up? Or is there a hidden agenda to it? You know? And 9 times out of 10, when somebody's talking smack about you, or they are basically just spewing shit out their ass, it's out of jealousy. Okay? They are jealous and very, very envious of you because your world is better than theirs. You see, it's always better to hate your opponents, your those who are more successful than you, because it's easier that way because you don't have to take a look at yourself in the mirror. Okay? These morons, they have no interest in looking at themselves in the mirror. They have no interest in bettering their own lives. They would rather scam others out of their hard-earned cash because they really don't know anything. I mean, anybody can call themselves a mama or a papa. Anybody can call themselves a Marimberos or Polero. Anybody can, take on the title of, say, magister or priestess, priest even. But how many of these individuals actually have the experience to back it up? Okay. Those of you who have watched my channel for any given time probably have already noticed that I back my shit up. Okay. I bring to you the sources that I bring to the table. I talk about my own personal experiences with these sources, be it demons, be it the Orisha, be it the Loa, okay, or even with these fallen angels, the fallen angelics, whatever. I've always backed up what I preached, okay? This is because I backed it up with actual facts, actual sources. If somebody doesn't do this and you're asking questions about this individual, you can easily be led down a desolate road. Okay? And what's interesting to note is DH Thorne, he did a video recently. It was a live video. I think it was like an hour and a half long. I got bored after about 30 minutes of it. I don't know how anybody can go on for that long. I really don't. And I think the max I've done is about an hour. But he was right about some things. There is no community. Everybody is out for themselves. And there's a lot of witch drama going on. Everybody that's coming into Facebook groups these days is looking for that quick fix. People are telling others, don't view this person. Don't get close to this individual. They're liars, they're betrayers. They're this or that, whatever. But they never back it up. It's all words, nothing more. And then you sit back and you wonder why the occult community is divided and why it's, well, on its ass, as D.H. Thorne so colorfully put it. Okay. And I do agree with him on this because of the fact that people are going to believe whatever the hell they want to because they want to be led rather than to actually learn. Okay. This is one of the reasons why I just simply share my videos with people. They come to me. I'm not going to repeat myself a dozen times over like I did in the past. One of the things I've been doing a lot lately is just staying away from social media. I get on long enough to do a video, to update my channels, to post on my channels. Like recently, I created an Instagram page, okay, for myself. And it's interesting because of the fact that I shared this, and I've got probably maybe 5 or 6 followers already. But it's cool because I'm not in it for popularity. I'm not in it for numbers. Okay, I'm in it for the knowledge. And if people like what I do, they're going to hit that subscribe button and they're going to learn. They're going to go out with the resources that I've given and they're going to do their own homework. In my experience, it's 9 times out of 10 envious. They're envious of you, your success. Over the years, I've had my haters, I've had my fair share. There's no big secret there. But when you look at it, all they're trying to do is divert your attention. And you have to discern for yourself when to give that attention and when not to. You can have your little playtime and go, okay, here you go. You know what I'm saying? Just type in something like, well, if you'd done your research and you would have known this, 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 and this. Okay. But instead, you were the jackass or you were the dumbass or whatever. And you didn't fucking do it. Okay. You just did not do it. And that's on you. You just blowing smoke out your ass. Okay. You see, that's giving somebody recognition and you're kind of feeding their ego. Okay. A true practitioner is not going to have ego. They're in it for the arts, the sciences, and the knowledge, the betterment of self. Okay. They're going to back up everything they have with actual facts and sources. Now, I've actually done live streams with D.H. Thorne, Alfredo Martinez. We've both had our disagreements in the past, but there's always been that respect. Okay. But also, I may not agree with a lot of things that EA Quetting comes out with, but a lot of that stuff I've done my own homework into. The A lot of the stuff that he's put out in Baneful Sorcery, Curses, Hexes, Jinxes, I've done my own research into it. Hell, I even practice black magic, sorcery, okay? I've even taught within a few series on the topic, from Journey into Satanism to necromantic series to witchcraft series, okay? And that's just over the last few years. I've given a lot of information, and yet people who have claimed to follow my work clearly don't, because many of them come to me asking the same questions. Recently, I did a video. Oop, a sec here. Recently, I did a video on both Facebook and YouTube, kind of together. I used my cell phone for the Facebook account and my laptop for the YouTube. So basically, I replied to an individual who asked me what books on necromancy would I recommend. Now, I did this video because of the fact it's been a while since I've updated the necromantic series that I was doing. As of, I want to say, last year, and it was overdue, so I did it. Now, if somebody had actually gone through my videos and typed in necromantic series or necromancy, they would have come up with my videos on this series. They would have seen how many sources I put into the 5 or 6 videos in that series. Okay. And this is something that I've noticed over the years, is the dwindling motivation. Okay. People don't have the motivation on social media today. It has become more of a crutch. When you get into social media groups such as Facebook groups, you get the same questions. Well, I think this person's cheating on me, or oh my word, I need people to send me prayers because of such and such an issue. Okay, why don't you, instead of doing this, pick up a book and read it? There's a number of different books out there on herbalism. There's a number of different books out there on Satanism. There is a number of books out there on necromancy, some of them more pricey than others. I think Shall Now Whispers, for an example, that was written by Sumner Stredwood. If you go underneath the Mazajira Cabal system, I believe that's like $900 these days. Or if you go underneath Amazon or eBay, you're probably going to be finding somebody like a third party seller trying to sell their book for boku amount of dollars. Okay. But like I said, there's also books out there that are low key, anywhere from 15 to $30. Okay. Sometimes you'll find them for $50. But it's not about the price, it's about the knowledge. Okay. It is about the sources and the materials that are being put out there. Okay. From individual sources. Okay. Think of it as you're practicing necromancy. Okay. Let's say, for an example, you're into Brujeria. Okay. Now, let's say, for an example, you are a brujo or a brua. Okay. You refer to yourself as a El Necromante. Okay. And you constantly call forth and work with the saint known as El Diablo. Okay. Meaning the devil. Okay. People are going to look at you and call you nuts. They're going to call you crazy. But what do you do when you delve into these sources? Okay, when you get into herbalism. A friend of mine, a brother, I don't really talk to him much these days, but I used to. But I still follow his YouTube channel quite extensively. Every so often, he presents a source, a book. Other times, he'll show videos on how to cleanse your place, yourself, maybe an accursed object. And he'll talk about his hereditary style family lineage within this particular message, okay, or this path. And his name is Brujo Luis. I'm probably going to butcher this name, but it's Sanchista Brujo Luis. Okay. And I like this guy. He lives about 5, maybe 6 hours from where I'm currently at. And he has a lot of knowledge in this. And the one thing that I've noticed and learned from him is that this path is a Brujeria is actually one of cleansing and healing most of the time. However, they do have domination rites just like any other tradition. Domination rites are like curses, hexes, jinxes. Bindings. They have a whole bunch of different things from curses to domination, which would basically be broken down these days because most people get into the satanic aspects of the three types of rituals: compassion, lust, and destruction rites. Okay. So a lot of places really have this knowledge. They just refer to them in different titles, different names. Spirituality, on the other hand, is something different. If you're not spiritual in nature, then you wouldn't understand what I mean by calling on spirits and being led by them. Okay. But even if you're Luciferian, you're looking at everything such as these spirits as, say, for an example, masks. Okay. D.H. Thorne does chaos theory. He's a chaos magician, a sorcerer in that department. That's all cool. Michael W. Ford looks at everything as a mask. Okay. Lucifer and Satan are two different sides of the same coin to him. Guess what? I respect that, but I don't agree with it. Okay. But one of the things that D.H. Thorne said in a video about one of his haters recently was that the individual claimed that individuals who worship Lucifer or Satan were doing things from a biblical standpoint, okay, a point of view. Now, he gave his own opinion on it, but I wanted to further this in this video because of the fact that if anybody bothered to get into ancient Greek, okay, you have Phosphorus, the day star, the Roman Lucifer, the morning star associated with Venus, okay? But you could also go into the Jewish Haggadah, the Mishra, the Dead Sea Scrolls. You can get into the Book of Tobit. You can get into so many ancient texts that really define who these spirits were. Not just the books of Enoch. Okay, the Bible only has one distinct view of Lucifer, and that's found in Isaiah chapter 14, verse 12, where it says, "How art thou, Lucifer, son of the fallen? How thou hast fallen, Lucifer, son of the fallen." Okay, basically the morning star Venus. Okay, and it goes down into verse 15, stating that guess what? He wanted to set his throne above the heavens and become the quote and unquote new God. Okay, now in the Jewish Bible, there's really no mention of Lucifer. The Quran, again, no mention of Lucifer. But yet El Shaitan is found in the Quran. Okay. If you get into the Western traditions of biblical Christian, the mainstream JCI, you're going to see Satan taken from the Hebrew variation, Ha Satan, the adversary, the accuser, the tempter. And this is coming from the Jewish, the Hebrew, and the Islamic traditions. Okay. Now, El Shaitan is actually the king of the Shaitans. Okay. There's also a link between him and Asmodeus. But when you actually get into the Jewish Haggadah, you'll notice that Satan is actually a Gregori and Lucifer is an archangel. Two different classes of angels. Okay. Two different classes, but yet you have individuals coming forth, putting forth work saying that, guess what? They're one and the same. Well, I challenge these idiots to go out and get Asenath Mason's books on Lucifer. Delve into history, especially the texts that I just named off. And I want to see if you still hold that same theory, that same ideology, that thought form. Okay? I want to see if you can actually learn something. Okay? Because these individuals who don't do their homework and don't do the studying for themselves, they really are no better than atheists calling themselves Satanists. Think about that for just a minute. An atheist means you don't believe in God. You don't believe in the devil. You don't believe in magic. You believe in what can be proven scientifically. Okay? Now, here's the kicker. Satanism or Satanist means you serve a devil, a demon. You worship as a devout, a spiritualist. I recently did a video. It was a live feed. I believe I put it right here on YouTube on my channel. It was just a ritual of an altar. I had done an extensive worshiping, prayers, and a small blood rite, blood sorcery. And I gave offerings and all that stuff. And right at the end, I didn't speak, I didn't do anything, I just recorded. I posted this in a few groups on Facebook. I posted this on my Timber account. I posted this on my, what do they call that? Was it Instagram, Timber? What the hell's the name of that? I gotta get underneath my phone here. TikTok. There we go. I knew it started with a T. But anyways, I put it all over this on these channels, not just my YouTube channel. And I had a few people come back and they could have they literally flat out said, there are spirits here. Is anybody else seeing this? Okay, that's the difference between a spiritualist and an atheist. We know that there's spirits there. Even in Nicaea, ancient Greek form of necromancy, necromancia, you're dealing with spirits. Shamanism, such as the dark head. Okay, get into the Shem priests. What do? They call on spirits, the gods. Why? Spiritual, devout form of worship. Okay? And what's also interesting about Nicaea and necromancy is the studying of death, decay. I mean, I was at work today and it was interesting because of the fact that we were watching a video. Now, we all know about Alzheimer's, but I got the chance to see the difference between a healthy brain and one affected by Alzheimer's. Very interesting differences. the shrinkage of the brain as it shuts down. Very, very interesting. But it got me thinking while I was watching this video with these people who have degrees and far greater than mine. Okay. Keep in mind, I'm going to be working in the kitchen in this facility. Okay. As and these people are like RNs, MAs, things like this. These higher up, like nurses' aides and stuff like that. And it was kind of cool because they knew more about this than I was, but some of them were even impatient. But here's the kicker: while I was listening to the lady on the film, I started thinking about the Shem priesthood out of Egypt, specifically that of Giza. Okay, through the first, second, and third dynasties of Egypt. And it was interesting because I remember reading on how they were the keepers of the secret whispers. They were the keepers of they were the ones that performed the rites from the Egyptian Book of the Dead. Okay. They removed four major organs from the human body, but it was how they purified the body itself. One washed from the feet up to the head. Another one's began mummifying, meaning wrapping with the bandages, while one literally made a slit in the side of the cadaver and removed four organs and placed those four organs in little jars. Okay, but what's interesting here is the brain was not one of them. The brain was not one of them. Now, the belief was that the individual, if they ever came back, would need those four organs, but yet the brain was not one of them. They used what we use today in fishing as being a fish hook. They would shove it up the nostril, puncture the brain, swirl it around like scrambled eggs, and pull it out through the nostrils. Very, very interesting. And like I said, this really got me thinking on this because of the fact that when you think of being true to who you are compared to these haters are going to hate, who gives a shit what other people think of you? Who gives a shit if they like you or not? What matters is what you think of yourself. What you do matters to those who actually pay attention. Okay? Those who are truly looking for knowledge is going to find it. Why? Because they'll seek you out. Okay? Somebody who actually puts sources for them to go out, backs up everything, takes the time to reply to their questions. Now, I'll be the first one to tell you, I don't answer all the questions. I look for the ones that are most intriguing. The reason for that is because of the fact that there are certain individuals, when they ask questions, not placing statements, there are some of these questions that will benefit them if they apply themselves. In this case, I had an individual come to me flat out. He never said a name. Could have been anybody. Oh, he's at it again. Really? Why would I give a shit? Okay. So when you look at who you are compared to what others expect you to be, who cares what other people expect of you? It's what matters to you. That's what counts. Look at who you are and what your aim is. What is your goal? Do you go out, do the work, put the time in, become a committed devout to these spirits? Are you willing to align yourself with those currents? Are you willing to do the work that they put in, that they've put in already? Are you willing to meet them halfway? While you work in the physical, they work in the spiritual. Are you willing to do that? Because if you are, you'll go a long way. But if you're only in it to ridicule others and to put them down, you're not going to get far. You're just a hater, envious of somebody else's success. I can tell you firsthand that my own research into necromancy over the last few years, the last couple of years, have led me from Giza up into the Middle East, into Slavic witchcraft, down into Haitian Voodoo, and back into the African Caribbean traditions. And as of the last few weeks, into Bulgaria. Spirits have been leading me to this gnosis, but I'm the one doing the work. The question is, are you willing to do the same? Okay. V.I. Ross, Damon IV, welcome. Arctic Zun, welcome. Ank, Starseed Root Witch, welcome back to the channel. Brian Forsey, welcome to the channel. Pharaoh Stiller, X, welcome to the channel. And Men Like Gods, welcome back. But you see my point. Haters are going to hate no matter what you do or say. So why do you want to get involved in the drama? D.H. Thorne is definitely correct in this matter. There is no community. It's sitting on its ass, waiting for that final gasp. And the Lick's hand is right there waiting to snatch that soul. It's waiting for those walls to crumble the rest of the way down. You want to get into the middle of these witch wars? Go for it. But I'm not a part of a community. I do associate with some people. I do follow those that I find entertaining. Those who truly are putting the work in. E.A. Coetting, Asen F. Mason, Bill Duvendak, Edgar Cavall. You know, I even follow a few others, both in Palo Monte, Palo Mayumbi, Brugeria, like I said. I even follow people who practice and are devout to Santa Muerte. But there's a huge difference between Santa Muerte of Mexico and that of Spain and Portuguese. Two different systems, but based off the beloved death herself. But you got to be willing to align yourself. You got to be willing to apply it 166%. Or as my brother John Saunders so colorfully used to say, 666. Very cool. All right. That's all I wanted to say today. I want to thank everybody for joining in with me. And let's just see what people have been posting here real fast. I haven't really read a lot of this. So, all right. Well, let me put it to you this way, Kelly. I left Dunkin' Donuts because I was offered a job at a medical facility in the kitchen, and I'm getting about 4 hours less than hours than what I was getting at Dunkin', but that's okay because the pay is a little bit better. And it's interesting to see how things are going my way and that of my family's way. But at the same time, I still got a leech on, that's bad mouthing me behind my back. I really don't care what he does or says. So, but here's the kicker. Outside of that, we're getting a new apartment, a bigger one, pretty soon. And We all got good, new jobs in the medical field. You know, my better half's a CNA. What do they call that? HBP and stuff like that. But she's got 10 years, so she's like a teacher on the floor. Me, on the other hand, I'm getting into the kitchen at a medical facility, a different one. So you consider everything's going awesome. You know, I'm really delving down into the occult studies, practices, teaching what I know. Think of this as my personal journal. So that's going pretty good, Kelly. So yeah, there's a lot going in a lot of good ways. So that was called Arctic Zun. Arctic Zun's asked, "What was the title of the pricey book that you mentioned?" The answer was Charnel Whispers. Okay, Charnel Whispers. It's a very good book. I highly recommend it. That was one of the first books of Senator Stredwood that I really got into and connected with, especially on necromancy. Well, if you think that's pretty cool, Arctic Sun, I would recommend the sixth, seventh, and eighth books of Moses. Okay, you can actually get that out of what is it? You can actually look them up on Amazon and Google, and eBay. I want to say it was published out of Africa. Very good. I actually have them in PDF format. Very good. I recommend them. Yeah, and you'll also see where the Solomantic books came from. Okay, because they were based off that, such as the Seven Princes of the Air. Prime example: necromancy, black magic, astrology. It's all in the sixth, seventh, and eighth books of Moses. Even some spell work is in the eighth. That's actually true, Brian Forsey. That's actually very true. A lot of times when you get onto Facebook, you got people, Satanists mostly, that believe they are demons. They are taking on the demonic names. They're taking on the persona. You can even get underneath witchcraft these days, and they've got those what do they call those things? The eye things that make their eyes look like reptiles or lizards or whatever. The demonic eyes, stuff like that, because they believe in themselves to be the spirit themselves that they're taking on. Welcome to Luciferian perspectives, right? But not all Luciferians are the same, and you got to remember that. Men like gods. That's actually true too. The writings are very suppressed. The Catholic Church makes sure they keep their magic under lock and key in the Vatican, specifically their library. Only one man or woman, depending on the generation, is able to enter into that. Not even the Pope himself is able to get into that. So keep that in mind. Oh, went a little too far. Hmm. Consider this. You asked the spirits, correct? Pharaoh? Pharaoh Stiller X. You said I did the work. They sabotaged my name and put me in $130,000 debt. Fraud for signing checks under my name. Okay? Now let me ask you this. On one hand, you say you did the work, okay, meaning you did the actual legwork, correct? Did you put the time in with the spirits? You got to remember that both go hand in hand. You got to actually listen to the spirits and let them guide you. It's not just you doing the work. When a spirit, let me put it to you this way. I did the work over the last couple of months and I kind of dragged my feet a little bit. I did numerous cartomancy readings. I did numerous meditations, spiritual conjurations, summonings, um, and asking various different types of spirits for their aid. For an example, I opened up my ritual chamber in my life to the spirits who want to help me, okay, were willing to help and to guide me not to what I want, but what is best for me and mine. Okay. Now, this, like I said, took place over 2, 3, 4 months. Okay. So, a couple of weeks ago, I was in the window. I was planning on going back to school when my better half graduates. Okay. Because I want to get into thanatology. And I was talking to one of my regular customers, and she happened to mention that they train in house for this, and you actually get paid to do the training. So it's like, okay, right there, that's one, two, if not three out of the five certificates needed for thanatology. Okay. So it was kind of cool to see how that was. So that actually was the turning point, that tipping of the proverbial iceberg, if you wish, at the cusp where you're dangling either left or right. Well, guess what? That put me over the edge to where I made the decision. Guess what? It's time for me to leave Duncan. After 4 years of being at this company, being trained in just about every station there is outside of management, over the last month or so, I've literally, been counting my own drawer, you know, right up until I got moved into the morning to be placed into the management program. Okay, and this is one of the things that I petitioned the spirits for a few months back. Okay, matter of fact, it was actually a couple of years ago, back when, and I've talked about this before, when my boss had his heart attack and had a triple bypass. I went to the blighted and I said, "Hey, whoever's willing to help me, I'm willing to step up. I'm willing to do what is necessary. If it's meant for me, then I want it. If it's not, then I don't want it." Okay. And here we are a couple of years later, and guess what? I had a few people rooting for me, behind my back to manage, upper management, trying to get me into the manager program, stuff like that. And it just wasn't happening then. But as soon as I put my 2 weeks in, the top two came forth and said, "Hey, we didn't know you wanted to be part, in the management program, but guess what? We're going to transfer you over into the morning because that will set you up for the management program. We just want to watch your work ethic for a little bit." And you know what? That was awesome because that really, even though I don't like working in the mornings, I really despise it. I do because I'm not a morning person, but I function just well. So I ended up doing that for like a month before was doing all these rites and rituals and petitioning the spirits. And finally, I just looked at this. I went to this loyal customer and I said, "Hey, you know, I know you guys have been trying to, take people on, but what school would you recommend that deals with thanatology?" She didn't know what that was, or at least she claimed to. But as soon as I told her, I said, "It's like this, this, and this." And she said, "Oh, we trained for that. We trained you in house for this." And it's like, well, you know what? I'll be there. So right after that shift, I went in. Met with her, had an interview, filled out an application, hired on the spot. Today was my first day on that job. Okay? So that's what I'm talking about. You got to deal with the spirits, you got to pay attention to the omens and the signs, and you got to put the legwork in. It's not just one side or the other. So I want you to think about it this way, Pharaoh. Okay? If you are standing on a cusp of a mountain, okay? Think of your equilibrium in this case. Okay? Prime example of health. If you're focusing more on physical than spiritual, you're going to be out of balance. Okay? You're going to knock yourself out of balance. So to bring yourself back into balance, you got to go into the spiritual. You got to start you got to start aligning yourself to both spiritual and physical matters. Okay? Especially if you're into black magic, sorcery, necromancy, or any philosophy that deals with spiritualism in general. Remember this, what you put in is what you get out of it. Okay? So you can't blame the spirits for the hand that you were dealt. They just don't work like that. There was something that you didn't that you missed or that you did not pay attention to, and you got caught with your britches down. Okay? So exactly, Arctic Sun. Spirits will guide you in various different ways. For an example, if you take King Belial, okay, King Belial, okay, he teaches you how to be a ruler. He trains you for titles such as management, for being a leader, okay, being an elder. Whereas, say for an example, King Asmodee or Asmodai would be a spirit that you would call on for wrath. The book of Tobit. King Belial is actually from the Dead Sea Scrolls, the scroll of Amrin, to be precise, the leader of the sons and daughters of darkness. So when you take his ways versus that of Asmodeus, you see where he is not only into necromancy, and it's not just that the book of Tobit is not just one of necromancy, but it's one of spiritualism. It's one of wrath. It is one of desire. Okay. So if you want to call on a spirit for desire and wrath, or wrath for that matter, I would recommend Asmodai. Okay. Asmodeus. Okay. Now, if you're into invisibility and you want to be invisible to your enemies, go with Beleth. Okay. If you want to persuade men's minds, go with King Paimon. Okay. You see how they have different attributes. Okay? These spirits can guide you and teach you in many different ways. They can even shield you. So it's not just one topic or another. It's when you work with them, you gain their trust through your actions as much as you do by doing the actions themselves. You're learning from them to do the work yourself. But a lot of people today, and this is the sad part, they want that easy button. Tap that button. And guess what? Poof. All your turmoil, all your troubles go bye-bye. Okay? It don't work like that. You got to work for it. You got to put the time in. You got to put the dedication and commitment forth. It's like, for an example, over the last couple of years, I've had people come to me. They've said, "Well, tr- I've had so and so change their prices and add more money to it because I've asked questions." There's no one set price. Or I paid for this particular right to be done. It didn't come true. Well, how much did you put in? 50 bucks. Anybody can give somebody 50 bucks to do a right. But the question is, do they know what they're talking about? Do they know what they are doing? Okay. For an example, my brother, okay, who lives down in Louisiana, had a client who showed her a shoebox. A shoebox. Different odds and ends in them. She hired a particular Bokor, a Bokor, to do a rite for her. This individual ripped her off. But instead of helping her with her situation, she ended up with a spirit latched onto her. So I told my brother what to do in that case because at this time I was studying voodoo. Okay. And he did the right. I gave him some insight into it and he went out and he did the right. And you should have seen the photos in the video he sent me. I wish I could share that with you, but I can't because it's client privilege. Okay. And you can see the spirit literally leaving, being cast out of this individual in a form of an exorcism. Okay. And yes, exorcisms are definitely used in necromancy. It is definitely used in occultism. Okay. Not just Catholicism. Okay. Catholicism got it from occultism's practitioners. So this lady wasn't just ripped off, she was literally targeted by the Bokor in this case. So when we look at this, you really want to know somebody who knows what they're doing. You don't do effigies in a form of a shoebox. You build, if you're doing a destruction right, you're going to make a coffin from wood. You're going to be calling on spirits in a form of a grisgris bag, a mojo bag, some form of powder, okay, to curse them with. And you want a personalized object like a photo, something that will link the spell to that individual. It doesn't matter if you got a freaking made up name like Timmy Ho Ho or, Timbuktu. Your essence is linked to your page. And what you put into that rite and ritual is what you're going to get out of it. Why do you think all these big time practitioners, these elders, these leaders in the occult community charge $200-300 for a curse? Why do you think they do charge $150 for a consultation? I mean, I believe it was Frank White who said he would not accept any client that doesn't pay you know, under 6 or 7 figures. And this was after he moved to LA, to California from Germany. Think about that for just a minute. What you put in is what you get out of it. If you pay $5 for a curse, you're going to get that much of a ritual. You got to remember that it's about your time. It's about the amount of time that you put into these rites and rituals. So if you go to a hack, that's not on the community. That's not on the the practitioners. That's on you because you were the dumbass that didn't do your homework. You didn't scroll through somebody's comments. You didn't go through their profiles and say, okay, these people enjoy what this guy's got to say or this lady has to say. This is, I like this person because, and I'm promoting them because their shit works. No, they don't do that. A lot of times today, people, when they want services from a practitioner, they want it free. To hell with your time. To hell with your valuable time. You want somebody else to do the work, pay them for it. Okay? Otherwise, do it yourself. Learn how to do it yourself. And if you can't tell the difference between somebody who claims to be something they does not back up their shit, then guess what? Go to somebody who does. I had an apprentice. a client even, that let's just say this individual was told something and this individual dared to question. Now he found himself the target by this hater. You join a certain organization and an individual goes, well, this is where we're part our ways. But yet, after being proven a liar, a scam artist, or even what you believed was deemed to be a fallacy, they years later they're still attacking the individual. I've shown photos of conversations with clients with who have or even friends who have sent me screenshots of what an individual has been saying about me behind my back. Okay? All I did, well, this individual is hating on you. He's saying this, this, and this. Well, here's my conversation with this individual. You know what I'm saying? Back it up. And they're like, wow, what a loser this guy is. This guy is clearly bonkers, delusional. Wow, I was wrong to believe them. I had beef about a couple of years ago with a guy by the name of VK Jahanam. Okay, he came out and he attacked me on social media one time, and I turned around, did a reply, and I set the record straight about satanic practices because he was led to believe something that was incorrect. But he came on and he apologized for it, which shows honor, integrity. He was man enough to admit that he was wrong. Now, even though we are aware of each other, we're not out attacking each other. We just simply stay away from each other. We don't want anything to do with each other. But here we are a few years down the road, and we got a client in, a couple clients in common. So you see, shit happens for a reason. But at the same time, it's ironic to see just how the spirits work. Not only are we in the same organization, but at the same time, you know, it's funny how people just come into our lives, and it's like, damn, I didn't realize we had this other person in common with each other, But shit happens. But like I said, back it up and always make yourself available to the public. And there's nothing your haters can do. All you have to do is stay true to who you are. Back up what you preach. Make yourself available to the public because you are responsible to the public for anything you say and do. Okay? Why do you think all these social media sites have all these community guidelines? Think about that for just a moment. But if you're not going to sit there and feed both sides of the line, I'm talking the spiritual and the physical, you're not going to get very far. But you also got to stay focused and grounded in between. And that's the point. Let's see. I'm just scrolling down through all the conversations here. Well, I would recommend Asmodeus, okay, to you, Arctic Sun, namely because of the fact that not only is the addiction or the habit the enemy, therefore you can use the wrath to destroy it. But at the same time, your desire to rid yourself of that habit or that addiction, Asmodeus can aid you in that. But I would also recommend Alistair the Executioner to you. But I would also, if you're going to do a pact with them and to work with them, I would also put it into writing so that you can keep one copy for yourself and send the other one to Lucifer Raphael, the ancient scribe and pact maker. Okay? Any deal, any pact that you make with a spirit, he is the keeper. Okay? Now, keep in mind that not everything has a quick fix either, so it may take quite a bit of time. You may have to be worn down before they even work with you. You're welcome. And that's true. Some people are very vengeful, which is a sad fact. They just have no life. And I was talking with a friend of mine just a couple of days ago when he shared the latest one with me. I had to laugh because I turned around and I typed back and I said, must be fun to know how to use Photoshop. Because all he's doing is taking, somebody else's body, your face, and photoshopping it into a single photo. And so it's pretty cool. So kind of makes you want to get into the 21st century. Yeah, screw that. I'd rather go back to the 15th century. I like it better. Yeah, cool. Yeah, and I concur. I always use logic. When you think of logic, I think of King Solomon. With the belittling women, I guess you can call them. You remember that story from the biblical Bible? They both said the child was theirs, and his logic was just to eliminate the child. Why? Because the real mother would rather give up her child than to sacrifice it. So yeah, very, very cool. But anyways, I said my piece, said what I wanted to say. Stay true to yourself and just let the haters hate. You sit back, they're gonna basically show the world who they truly are. And they're gonna defeat themselves. So it's a win-win for you. All right. So I want to thank everybody for jumping on here with me. Thank you. It's appreciated. And for those of you coming on, I hope you like the content that I put forth. Hope you delve into the education and evolve through self mastery. And if there's something you're interested in that, you know, I haven't talked about, just shoot a message on one of my videos. I'll delve into it and see what I can find out for you. But outside of that, I stick to what I know. All right. Have a good night. And until next time.